it found that the largest tax gap for 2017 to 21 was none other than Brookfield, right?
Correct.
Doug Ford did it again. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we got Doug Ford releasing a video after Donald Trump canceled all trade negotiations with Canada. Old Dougie thought it would be a good idea to do a collaborative video with Donald Trump's arch nemesis. This is only going to make things worse. We got a bunch of stuff here. Let's jump into this. Starting off with the polling data coming from Vancouver. We've got new Vancouver mayoral election poll puts Conservatives 10 points ahead. That's right. The Conservatives in Vancouver are polling at 32% with the Liberals at 22%. This comes from mainstream research. Now, for anyone who's not from the West Coast and doesn't realize how crazy this is, these are the election results from April. As we see, if we look at Vancouver, you're going to see it's all red, except for Richmond. It's all red. So Richmond is the only place with common sense because Richmond is filled with people from China and they're trying to get away from being in a dictatorship so they can smell what's happening here in Canada. That's why they don't vote for the NDP or the Liberals. But everywhere else, it's red. People in Vancouver are insane. So the fact that you've got polling numbers of 32% Conservative in Vancouver is crazy. This is a big blue wave. Now, this election isn't anytime soon, but the polling results showing that people even in Vancouver have had enough. We got this one here from Candace Malcolm, says op-ed, 11 international trips later, Carney has 0 results for Canadians. Yeah, Carney's been to what? Palestine, to the UK 3 or 4 times. He was in Germany for that phony baloney minerals deal. He's over in Malaysia right now. He's been everywhere and he's done nothing. I disagree that Carnival Carney has 0 results. He has results that just happen to be terrible for Canadians. Actually, it's true. He does have some results. He did go see that rugby match in the UK. He did go see his head honcho bosses in the Qatari Investment Authority and BlackRock. He did go to a couple concerts. He has done some things, just nothing good for Canada.
The Prime Minister broke his promise to negotiate a trade deal with the Americans. But what have the Canadians got for all of the Prime Minister's talk? Higher tariffs than when he was elected, thousands upon thousands of jobs lost, and concession after concession with nothing in return for Canadians. And now the U.S. president has terminated negotiations with Canada, and the Prime Minister says this morning that they're making great progress. In what world is the termination of negotiations great progress? When will the Prime Minister deliver the deal he promised?
Yeah.
Hear, hear.
We have been drawing the distinction between what we can and what we cannot control, including trade policy of the United States, which has fundamentally shifted.
This is interesting how Mark Carney campaigned on knowing how to handle guys like Donald Trump. He can get a deal. He's a master negotiator. And now it's, we can't control it. There's nothing we can do.
Remain ready to restart negotiations. At the same time, we are building Canada strong. We are diversifying our supply chains with major economies in the Indo-Pacific. We are reducing internal barriers to trade, and we are getting off the ground national projects, which I may remind the opposition they voted against. Thank you.
Right. So 2 things to note here. This conversation that's going on back here,
reducing internal barriers,
looks absolutely ridiculous when she's speaking. It just optically, this looks horrible. And second off, talking about major projects here, these projects Mark Carney announced, many of these Mark Carney is directly or indirectly going to profit from, like the container terminal with his investment in Canadian Pacific, Kansas City, or McIvenna Bay Foreign Copper Zinc mine, the Foran mine here. Same thing, Canadian Pacific, Kansas City, Darlington Nuclear Facility, Pathways Project, Port of Churchill. It's sitting here as clear as day every time I open my chart how much money Mark Carney's making. It's all right here. 54% return, $1 million in there. He's just made $540,000. How much does Mark Carney have invested in all these companies? In all these companies.
Canadians don't have time for these Liberals to play catch up. What have we got from the Prime Minister since his last trip to the White House? It was 5,000 auto jobs lost. What other jobs do we have to sacrifice? 100 jobs in Maitland that have gone to the United States, hundreds of forestry workers, 900 jobs at Imperial Oil that aren't coming back, all while Canadians are suffering with an affordability crisis that's been fueled by higher taxes under these Liberals and inflationary policies that have driven food prices up at the grocery store. He's telling young Canadians they may need to make sacrifices. When is he going to deliver on his promise with a deal?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, it's surprising that the member opposite doesn't recognize that this government has been there to support industry and affected sectors with a $5 billion strategic response fund, Mr. Speaker, and $10 billion for liquidity management. At the same time,
This is not a good solution. You need to cut taxes. You need to cut capital gain taxes. You need to get companies moving back into Canada. This is a bonehead response. What are you going to bail out every single industry? Canada's going to go bankrupt. This is awful.
80% of our trade is covered by an existing free trade agreement. At the same time, we are reducing internal barriers to trade to add up to $200 billion to the Canadian economy. We urge the opposition to get on board and stand united and build Canada strong.
Meanwhile, what are they posting on the Prime Minister of Canada's account? Let's play ball. More Blue Jays. I get it. It's a big deal. World Series. I get it. People have lost their jobs. This is not what needs to be posted right now. They need to be working on a deal with Trump and getting rid of the tariffs. They need to be helping people who lost their jobs somehow. All Carney can talk about is the Blue Jays. If it's not Mark Carney commenting Blue Jays, we've got Doug Ford here doing a video here with Gavin Newsom, Donald Trump's arch nemesis, who thought this was a good idea. This is not going to smooth things over. This is only going to further antagonize Donald Trump.
Hi, Governor Newsom. It's official. The Blue Jays are heading to the World Series to take on your Los Angeles Dodgers.
That's right, Premier. Two great teams, two proud places. Sounds like a perfect time for a friendly wager.
Okay, Governor, you're on. If the Blue Jays win, I'll send you some of Ontario's finest maple syrup in a proper tin can, the way it's meant to be enjoyed. The tariff might cost me a few extra bucks at the border these days, but it'll be worth it for a Jays win.
That's not how tariffs work, Doug. He's going to be paying for the tariffs. And not only that, this tariff, if it does go through because Donald Trump changed the de minimis rules, there's an $800 exemption. He brought it back down to zero, which affected a lot of Etsy sellers. But if that goes through, then Gavin Newsom would have to pay the tariff. He would pay a duty. So either way, Doug Ford's statement here doesn't make any sense.
A sweet offer, Premier, but something tells me that syrup is staying north of the border when the Dodgers win. And when they do, I'll send you a bottle of California's championship-worthy wine. And hey, can you do me a favor? Think you can put it on the liquor store shelves?
I don't think so, buddy. Talk to your friend in the Oval Office. I can't wait for the Jays to bring it home. Either way, it's a win-win. Great neighbors, great friends, and a little cross-border competition.
Couldn't agree more. Here's to great baseball and some friendly bragging rights.
Go Jays.
As a lifelong San Francisco Giants fan, go Dodgers. Here's to a great World Series and a tariff-free friendship between Ontario and California.
This is so cringe to watch. Come on.
Hi. Go.
Them trying to say it at the same time too. Like, whose idea was this? It's funny because people are pointing this out as well. Exporters don't pay tariffs, importers do. Literally the whole process you're trying to make to the Americans. Exactly. He's got an ad and he's not even making his point right. He's spending $75 million on an ad in America and he doesn't even know how it works. Nice gesture, but no American would appreciate interference in their internal affairs like you did throwing a big wrench into trade negotiations with your ads. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially foreign interference what Doug is doing. He's trying to meddle in American politics. Moving ahead, we've got this one here from Table Salt. It says, holy crap, the NDP turns on Carney. Carney practically went down on his knees in the Oval Office. I still think they're going to support them with a budget, but they are blasting them here.
Shocker this morning, Mr. Speaker. President Trump terminated trade talks with Canada. This is a blatant failure on the part of the Prime Minister. He was elected as a champion negotiator, and now he's coming back empty-handed. Despite this, he did everything he could to please Trump. Border security, military spending, opening the Keystone XL pipeline, stepping back on the taxation of web giants. He practically went down on his knees in the Oval Office. Job losses are spreading. When will the Prime Minister stand up with a real strategy to protect workers? That is not true. For months now, we have been noting the importance of distinguishing between we can control and what we can't control. The latter includes U.S. trade policy. We are ready to resume trade talks with the U.S., but at the same time, we are able to act here at home by beginning national construction projects, growing the Canadian economy by eliminating internal trade barriers, and diversifying our trade through new trade relationships.
Mr. Speaker, the Anishinaabe Nation has declared a state of emergency amid rising violence, trafficking, and gang crime.
It's interesting she mentioned trafficking where this clip cuts off, because my local community here, which is only about 20,000 people, there's an entire group dedicated to trying to seek out human trafficking in this small town that I live in. That's how bad things are. This is a topic I haven't really got much into yet. How many more times do people have to vote Liberal before they realize things are getting worse, much worse, in all aspects of life? Rumor has it there's infighting with the NDP regarding supporting the budget. There's actually NDP MPs who are not Carney budget supporters. I don't doubt that, but they're going to support the budget. Moving ahead, we've got Liberal Leslie Church attacking Conservative youth plan, saying it borrows heavily from the MAGA playbook. This is getting so tired.
Secretary of State for Youth and Children.
Mr. Speaker, let me take an opportunity to shed some light on the Conservative Youth Plan, which borrows heavily from the MAGA playbook. It includes restricting student financial aid to the programs that they like and defunding the ones that they don't. With their track record, we should be worried about basic science, arts, literature, culture, environmental studies, public health, early childhood education. Is their plan a path to defund those students? And if so, what kind of future do they see for Canada's youth?
When they've got nothing, what do they resort to? MAGA. MAGA this, MAGA that. It's their catch-all when they're grasping at straws. MAGA playbook, said the Liberal propaganda MP. Give me a break. Yeah. Dawn Stewart spared us 9 months of this. Thank the man. Yeah, it's too bad Dawn Stewart lost a riding to her, because Leslie is a disaster. Moving ahead, we've got Michael Cooper with this one. Bombshell. Tax avoidance expert says Carney's Brookfield is Canada's largest tax dodger. I brought this up numerous times. The very person that Brookfield brought in to do this was none other than Mark Carney. And it was the NDP who originally broke this story. I've got on my board here, $5.3 billion dodged in taxes. Well, it turns out it's more than that.
On page 12 of your report, there is reference to Brookfield's tax gap over the last 5 years between 2017 and 2021. Just so that I'm clear on what a tax gap means, it is measuring the difference between taxes actually paid and taxes that would have been paid if the statutory Canadian tax rate had been applied to profits reaped. Do I have that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And according to your analysis, or the analysis cited in your report, Brookfield's tax gap in just 5 years between 2017 to 2021 was over $6.5 billion. Is that right?
That's correct. And that was based on research done by the Canadians for Tax Fairness and by some analysis from the Toronto Star as well.
So it would be fair to say that the extent of Brookfield's tax avoidance, taxes that it should have otherwise paid in Canada in just 5 years, was over $6.5 billion.
Yes, I mean, the tax gap is looking at the statutory rate, and there are some reasons why legitimate reasons why companies pay below that, but that's an indication of a major underpayment of taxes that, in the spirit of the law, should have been paid in Canada to finance public services in Canada.
Yeah, I'd say $6.5 billion is a lot of money. Would it be fair to say that Brookfield is Canada's largest tax dodger amongst corporations?
It has been labeled as such, and if it's not the largest, it's clearly in the very top tier.
Well, your report cites 123 of Canada's largest corporations, and it found that the largest tax gap for 2017 to 21 was none other than Brookfield, right?
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So I've done some research into this, and I couldn't find any that was any higher than this unless it was criminal activity. And the person in charge of that was Mark Carney. Mark Carney is Canada's biggest tax dodger. Something to note about these numbers, $6.5 billion. The dates he mentioned there, 2017, which we can see on my chart here. So Mark Carney came in as Vice Chair ESG here, August 2020. In that video, the dates were 2017 to 2021. That overlaps with Mark Carney here, essentially 2 years. So it's important to note that number, the $6.5 billion, isn't entirely Mark Carney's fault, but Mark Carney was brought in and he's even more effective at it, helping them dodge even more taxes at a higher rate. So NDP are the ones who broke this story earlier in the year. And you can see the numbers right here. I'll just make it a little bit bigger. So you can see 2021, $3.4 billion, 2022, $821 million, 2023, $679 million, and 2024, $306 million, for a total of $5.3 billion. I don't know why this one is so big. There's probably some sort of loophole he was able to canoe noodle with the buying a big pipeline or something like that. But this is one of the main reasons they brought in Carney, because he is a smart banker. He knows how to work the system. Unfortunately, he's not working in our favor. Why would we elect a guy like this? This is someone with low moral standards. This is not someone fit to be prime minister. And we got this one here. To avoid paying Canadian taxes, Mark Carney's company set up subsidiaries in tax havens around the world. 41 subsidiaries in Bermuda. I have that on my chart as well. It's actually right next to it here. If you just go right here, Bermuda Register of Companies, search entities, Brookfield, search. There you go. So there's a whole bunch of them here. 10 in the British Virgin Islands, 9 in Barbados, 8 in the Bahamas, 3 of each in Panama and Malta, 2 in St. Kitts and Nevis, and 1 in the Cayman Islands and Cook Islands. They actually have 1 in the Isle of Man. Ezra visited this place, and there's some old person there kind of sitting in as a stand-in employee as if it's some sort of real company, but it's not. So next up, we got an update to the Diwali fireworks. So I showed you in a previous video them firing off those fireworks, and one of them hit a house. Well, it turns out it was this guy's house. They burned his house down and his car.
The fireworks were quite loud. My daughter came out of her room saying there was an orange glow in the backyard. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I looked out, and like, that's obviously a fire, and looked back out, confirmed that. We got out of the house and called 911.
Well, let's look at the original video, which conveniently Bruce has posted right here. So these idiots firing off fireworks, which is against the law, for their Diwali celebration. You know, there's other ways to celebrate versus terrorizing the local community. Houses are already so expensive in Canada. And look what they did to this guy's house and his car. His car is melted too.
Are damages looking like car garage?
Car garage. There's some holes in the roof. There's a hole in my daughter's bedroom roof. The back of the house is pretty scorched. Possibly some roof damage. So stop the fireworks. Increase the fines. It's a $1,000 fine right now. It should be $10,000, $5,000. My house is gone. Celebration for holiday, that's fine, but it should not be a result in my house burning down. Period. It's dry. It's very dry out, and we're setting off fireworks. As I was talking to the fire department in their truck, fireworks are going off all around our neighborhood. Right in the parking lot at Mary Brown's last night. After the fire, fire trucks are still here. Fireworks are going off in the neighborhood. It has to stop.
Bunch of people commenting he's not angry enough. I think he's trying to hold his demon in. I would be absolutely livid. I would be hunting these people down. This is not okay. We have to set some standards here. No more bullcrap in our country. Anyone who sets off fireworks recklessly is a danger. Race has nothing to do with it. When it comes down to it, celebrating Diwali, go ahead, do it. Just don't burn down other people's houses. Don't break the law.